Hello and welcome to 100 Yards of Football Sports Talk Radio. I'm your producer, Jeremiah Long, and I don't know what I was about to say, producing. And joining us on this early morning is Logan Landers, and we're going to talk about the recap of the Jacksonville Jaguars 2021 draft class. How's it going, Mr. Landers?
Hey, doing awesome, Jeremiah. Ready to talk some football with you as always on Monday morning. See how we did, because we talked about a few of these players in this Jacksonville Jaguars draft class, and I'm looking forward to it, man.
Yeah, that's something I was going to mention to our audience. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe, of course. But if you go back and watch our older videos, older for the last few weeks, we've been doing draft profiles hosted by Mr. Logan Landers and a lot of them by our other dude, Mr. Vincent Turner and Bobby Butler, two-time All-American. And those draft profiles have been getting a lot of attention, and we're really thankful to everyone who's been watching those videos. But if you haven't watched them yet, you're going to want to go back and check those out. We go in depth on all of the players as they're entering the draft, as they're about to figure out their next move coming from college and getting into their professional, the highest of the high, the ultimate level of football. And we broke down all of their stats and how, what are their strengths and weaknesses? What would they do if they landed on certain teams? And we even, Mr. Landers has his famous 3 picks that he would be great for each team. And those teams that he put out there, I think that we're shooting a pretty good range. I haven't read an actual stat on it, but you got a lot of those out of your 3 picks. You got a lot of those picks right. So big up to you, sir, for being a great member of this team that's doing this amazing stuff with us. And for everybody watching, we're going to get into this. Let's talk about the Jacksonville Jaguars draft, my brother.
Let's do it, man. Hey, like you said, I might be shooting a pretty good percentage from the field with my 3 teams, but some of them I got right, some of them I got wrong. Of course, that's just how it is. I'm not that much of a draft expert yet. Give me a couple of years, man. Give me some more seasoning under my belt, and I'll be ready to get a little bit more higher percentage. But let's do it. Jacksonville Jaguars, as we all know, they had the number 1 pick, and big shocker to not that many people, they went with Trevor Lawrence. What more do we have to say? He's been talked about for months on end now, being the number 1 quarterback in this draft, going to Jacksonville. There's no shock here. I know a guy, frequent guest of the show, Daniel Kelly, wasn't too fond of Mr. Lawrence being picked number 1. If you guys, we've made a few videos about that. Go check that out as well. Hear his analysis, being a former draft scout, of course, so you can see his mind, how it works a little bit differently than a lot of the other people in the country. So, hey, Trevor Lawrence, I had no doubt in my mind he was going to go number 1. Urban Meyer loves this man. And I think that, if everything goes well, he could be a really good prospect, because we've seen guys get picked number 1 overall who either have amazing careers or who, just don't work out. So I think Trevor's got a lot of tool sets. He's had a lot of experience. He's got championships under his belt, had a really good program at Clemson. And I think that overall, man, as long as he's paired up with a lot of good players, and Jaguars had a pretty good draft, I think he's going to have a really good career for years to come. And, hey, he's got an uphill battle, though, because Jaguars' worst, they got picked number 1. That's the worst record in the NFL. I think they're 1-15. So he's got a lot of work. But I think that if you give him a couple of years under his belt at the quarterback position, he could really have out this Jacksonville team. They might be back in the playoffs sooner rather than later. We'll see. So let's see who else the Jaguars got to help out their star QB. Hey, well, they dipped back into the Clemson pool, and they got his running back from Clemson, Travis Etienne, with the 25th selection. Now, this was a little bit of a shocker here, Jeremiah, because the Jaguars had James Robinson, who they had as an undrafted free agent last year, who ran for over, I believe, 1,000 yards, had a really good career, had a really good season, kind of a breakout season. Yes. So people were pretty shocked by this, myself included, because I didn't think they need a new running back. But, hey, if you got a running back, why not go with the guy who just spent a couple of seasons with Trevor, who already has that chemistry down pat? And I know that Trevor's loving this. Travis is loving this. Their band is back together in Jacksonville now instead of Clemson. So, like I said, I've spoke highly about Travis Etienne on a lot of shows. This guy broke the ACC rushing record, for Lord's sake. So he's got a lot of talent. And I think that, if you can get that combo that they had at Clemson, if that can even be a fraction of what it was in the NFL, that's a dangerous backfield, Jeremiah. They're already stacked at the running back and the quarterback position. But let's keep going into their other positions they drafted, because we already know how good these two are. 2 first-round picks. Let's go into the second round. They went with Tyson Campbell out of the University of Georgia, Georgia Bulldogs, round 2, pick 33. And man, Tyson, hey, happy for him. He was the first pick in the second round. So that lets you know how talented this young man is. The first pick in the second round, that usually means you're right there on the cusp of the first round. Just someone might have skipped over you. But hey, I think the Jaguars got a really good pick here with Tyson Campbell. We already know what he did at Georgia, how solid he was. And I think that he's going to have a good career for Jacksonville. They need help on their defense, and I think no better way to help out than with this young man representing the Bulldogs now in the NFL. We're going to be talking about Tyson in another video. We're going to be talking about the UGA Bulldogs who got drafted. So I'm ready for this one, man. So Tyson Campbell, props to you, going to Jacksonville. All right, next they went to help out the offensive line with Walker Little, offensive tackle, round 2, pick 45. This young man is coming out of Stanford University. So, you got to protect your franchise quarterback, man. You really have to. They got a good man here with Walker Little. He's 6'7", 313. So this is a huge mountain of a man out of Houston, Texas. So he's done a lot of good things for Stanford. He opted out of the 2020 season, but hey, it's all good, though, because he came in. He got a second-round selection. So let's let you know the talent is still there, even though he didn't play this past season. Right. So, hey, good pickup by Urban Meyer and crew. I think he's going to help out Trevor Lawrence tremendously. All right, Andre Cisco, man, we've talked about on the show, I remember. Safety, round 3, pick 65, out of Syracuse, representing the Orange, of course. So, hey, Andre Cisco, solid selection, I think. They need help at that in the defense, like I said. And he's a good safety. He was their first pick in the third round, so he was a solid pickup. Like I said, they need a little bit of help in their backfield. Andre had a good career at Syracuse, and I think he's got a lot of good tools that could help him in the NFL. And that, hey, we might be hearing a little bit more of his name, getting some more interceptions, getting some pass deflections, and I think he's going to have a good career for Jacksonville. I like the way Jacksonville drafted this year, and of course, we got some more picks, but overall, man, I like the way they did things. All right, Jay Tufele, young man that we talked about just pretty recently, a couple of weeks ago, defensive tackle, round 4, pick 106, out of USC, helping out the Trojans. Hey, this young man did a good job for USC, getting to the quarterback, getting some sacks, getting some tackles. And, hey, you got to help out, man. You got to help out. The offense might already be stacked, but the defense is what's important. That's what happens. That's what you need in crunch time, in those clutch situations, help out in the playoff pushes. You got to have a good defensive line who can get to the quarterback. And Jay Tufele, he's got everything you want, man. He can get to the QB quick. He can get a lot of tackles, get a lot of sacks, and we'll see how he can do, man. Because, like I said, even though you're not drafting the first or second round, we've seen guys who have Hall of Fame careers even get drafted a little bit of the lower rounds, rounds 4 through 7 per se. And like I said, Jay's had a solid career at USC. We'll see how it translates in the next level at the NFL. All right, up next, we actually have Jordan Smith here. It looks like I might have got a little tired, messed up the name, but it's Jordan Smith out of UAB, round 4, pick 121, out of Alabama, Birmingham, UAB represent. So, hey, young man had a good career for a smaller program. They took a shot on him, drafted him in the 4th round, but I think that he's had a really good career. Like I said, it's always great to see guys from smaller schools get drafted, like a school from UAB. They didn't have too many guys get picked in this draft. But I think that Jordan Smith, of course, if he can work things out, he's got a lot of potential. And like I said, this might be a guy we might be sleeping on, Jeremiah, a guy from a smaller school who's got a lot to prove. A lot to prove just to get drafted, let alone have a good career. So I think that if Jordan Smith, if he can come here, if he can go into Jacksonville, I think he can have a good career, and we'll see how he can do.
Yeah.
All right, let's move things on here to Luke Farrell, tight end, round 5, pick 145, out of Ohio State. Urban Meyer, I remember he recruited this kid back when he was coaching at Ohio State, so he saw his name on the board. He knew they needed to get another tight end, and so he went with his old friend, his old former player, with Luke Farrell here, tight end. Out of Ohio State. So, hey, like I said, later pick in the 5th round, but a lot of talent, though, with this young man. He's got a really good career at Ohio State. As you can see, there's rocking the champs right there. So he had a good career. And, I mean, at 6'5", 250, he's got a lot you want out of a good tight end. He's going to be able to block for the QB. He's going to be able to help out, get a few catches as well. So I think this was a good late-round pick for them, honestly. They needed some help at the tight end position. and another weapon for Trevor Lawrence to throw to. So that's always a dangerous thing, on paper. So we'll see how Luke can do in the NFL. And finally, their last pick, a guy we talked about, I believe it was just last Monday, Jalen Camp out of Georgia Tech.
That's
so
right.
another guy out of the Atlanta area got drafted, round 6, pick 209, going to the Jacksonville Jaguars. Happy to see Jalen go here. I don't believe the Jaguars were one of my 3 teams, so that's one I missed, unfortunately. I'm sure to write that down and do a bit more research. There we go. Yeah, do a little clip note on that. But Jalen Camp, like I said, this guy he didn't have the most explosive stats at Georgia Tech. We do that he was going to be a later round draft pick. But I think that, like I said, he's got a great quarterback now with Trevor Lawrence. He's got a lot of really good weapons, and that means that, some of the bigger names in the Jacksonville Jaguars system, they might get targeted more. So that means Jalen Camp might be open more. So we'll see. As long as they can get him in some good packages, some good schemes, I think this young man could have a good career as a slot receiver, as a deep threat, or just as anything you want. I mean, as a guy from Georgia Tech, we're hoping he has a great career. We're hoping all the guys who were at the Atlanta schools, whether it was Georgia Tech, or even some of the smaller ones, they have a tremendous Hall of Fame career. And Jalen Camp, I think, was a good late round pick, good way to end up the draft for the Jaguars. And I hope this young kid does a lot of good things for the Jags.
Definitely. Yeah, so let me ask you this. Out of the entire class, you definitely hit some right on the head. We definitely saw some names that we knew. So what were your biggest surprises from their draft?
Oh, man, for the Jaguars draft, I was surprised. Like I said, I was surprised to see Jalen Camp go with the last pick. I thought he was around maybe 4 or 5. Mm-hmm. Also, I think that it was great to see Andre Cisco get drafted 3rd round. We knew he has a lot of good talent. Also, Jay Tufele, I think, is going to be a good fit in round 4. But of course, we knew the least amount of surprise was around Trevor Lawrence. But I think the biggest shock to me was when they got Travis Etienne. I thought they were going to stick with James Robinson since he had a really good season last year. I thought they're going to stick with him, but it looks like they're going to maybe a 2-back system, having it with both of those guys carrying the ball with Trevor Lawrence handing it off to him. So I think, to me, that was the biggest shocker. But I like the Tyson Campbell pick also. That was a solid pickup. Would get him in the first pick in the 2nd round. So I think that, just all in all, I like this Jaguars team. They had a really good draft. They needed a good draft. They have a lot of hype around them now that everyone's been drafted. They got a new coach, of course. They have a franchise quarterback, franchise running back now. So I think that if Jacksonville can put all these pieces together and help out, and if they can all just mesh and gel, I think that'll really help out. They got everything that they needed to get. They got some offensive tackles. They got some defensive linemen, some secondary help. They got some quarterback. They got edge rushers, tight ends. They got a lot of the positions that you need on a football field. Mm-hmm. And overall, man, I like this Jaguars draft.
That is what's up. I also like this Jaguars draft. Great class. Can't wait to get down to Jacksonville and see a game in person. It's an amazing stadium down there. Jacksonville is an amazing city. So in my final words, I just want to let everybody watching know this draft profile video has been a long time coming. Mr. Landers has been doing these draft profile videos and getting us ready for the draft for a few months. And when we actually hit our mark, got through it, and got to this draft recap side, this is kind of the payoff for everything we've watched and done. And so for everybody who's been joining us this entire time on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch, thank you so much. And if you haven't joined us yet on our podcast, make sure you do. Go over to 100 Yards of Football on Spotify, on Apple Music or Apple Podcasts, on Google Podcasts, or anywhere that you listen to podcasts, and look up 100 Yards of Football. And then our podcast will pop right up. Just look for our green colors there, and we will give you a new podcast every day. And we put these in your ear every day. Mr. Landers does all of our technical side to get those podcasts moving all week long. And we love our podcast audience. So if you're listening to us right now on the podcast, we just want to say thank you. You have helped us grow exponentially over the last few months. I think we started in September. Was that right?
September and November, one of the two.
Yeah, September into November, I believe. Yeah, I think it was the end of September. And ever since then, we have just seen the most tremendous response to the podcast version of our show. Our show actually started over 10 years ago as an AM radio show with our founder, Vincent Mr. Football Turner. And we've progressed on through all the technological changes and upgrades through the years till now. We've landed right here live with you and over on our podcast. So thank you so much. And again, thank you so much for watching. I'm your producer, Jeremiah Long. This is Logan Landers giving us our draft recap of the Jacksonville Jaguars 2021 class. We'll be back with another draft class recap here in just a little bit. Thanks.